This is Practical Prince. We're doing Talk and Tarot, so go ahead and drop your questions in. Free readings. I'll go ahead and start shuffling decks and getting things ready. So, hope you're having a good day. Hopefully, you have a great weekend. Let's move this over here. Hey, Lavina. Doing well. How are you? Thank you. You too. Ready for the weekend? Ooh. I guess, what do you mean by make a career? Because there's always the starving artist option, but I'm guessing you have something not as inclusive of that in mind. And I assume this is a question for the cards, not for me personally. Let me go ahead and highlight the question. I'm leaning towards charisma. Ability, cosmethon. No, charisma seems good. Okay. Alright, yeah, got one. I guess we can go ahead and do what we can first. So, first, it's the will I do good if I make a career? I mean, I've got that yes-no spread I sometimes use, but I'm not sure that's what we need for this one. Okay, let's see what we get. Because yeah, I'm thinking there's some different aspects. Oh, we got a Cosmo card mixed in. Okay. Okay, you're good, Louise. Lavina. I mean, so basically you want to help people, but you're not sure if tarot is the best way. Um, okay. And then, of course, there's the other ramifications associated with picking tarot. Um, I think I'll still do the. Okay. Um, so I think I'll still focus on will I do good if I make a career in tarot card reading and occult science? Um, focus on that. I think we're going to get cards that touch on different aspects. Um, so, and then we can take it from there. Who knows? I might get something more specific. Um, um, okay. So we've got 4 cards. I've got to figure out where they go and if I can sense anything in particular about what they mean. Okay, nothing super specific. Oh, there it is. Let's make that bigger. Okay, so our 4 cards. These are 4 different aspects. This one, I got the sense, was a bit of a bridge between these two, leaning more so into this one. Um, but as far as what they specifically mean or relate to, I didn't get a strong thing. So, let me flip cards. Um, so we've got Judgment, and we've got 4 of Chalices, bridged by Queen of Chalices. And then down here we've got the Hermit. So I don't think I get the Hermit too much, so I'll definitely have to read on that one. I mean, 4 of Chalices, there's apathy. There's a bit of disconnectedness basically going on there. Judgment, well, it's always similar to Justice, but that's, yeah, I'll have to double check on that one because it has a slightly different skew. It's interesting that Queen of Chalices is bridging it, because that would deal with your emotions and whatnot. And then, yeah, well, we'll read up on these. So let me go ahead and set this down and dig into it. I'll put that card away. Somehow ended up in the wrong deck. Let's do it in the order they were flipped. So we'll start with Judgment. Decisions, transitions, endings. The swirling mist beckons you in. Of course, crossing the threshold into the unknown will be daunting. The end of a journey can always be sad, but it is time to make matter-of-fact decisions and decide if where you are now is worth stagnating in the face of resplendent rejuvenation. So, definitely choices to be had. I kind of want to get that trio. So let's go to the 4 of Chalices. Overindulgence, loss of excitement, apathy. Life, for all its splendor, will sometimes lose its taste. This is most often a sign of overindulgence. Inundating yourself with some fascination will deaden your senses to its unique charms and flavors. If you find yourself growing apathetic to a steady routine, stir things up within yourself. Resist the urge to settle. Though it may seem like a mighty effort, force yourself to be creative and original. Imbibe of the stream of life. And then bridging these, Queen of Chalices. Intuitive, compassionate, emotionally secure. Feelings are often discounted as too amorphous and changeable, yet it is their endless malleability that gives them their fluid power. They can take out any form, still charged with the power of the mighty subconscious. They are the surging forces within our beings that make us strong. When you draw the Queen of Chalices, it is time to tune in with the feelings at bay. Trust your intuitions. Reach out to others. Find what makes them thrive and delight. And then let me go back to Judgment. Visions and meanings. I mean, my initial impression here is that you would be acting as Queen of Chalices, helping people who are a bit disconnected, 4 of Chalices, to make decisions and move forward, which we get from Judgment. So in that sense, you would be doing good, Let's get to the Hermit and touch on that other aspect. Searching within, solitude, self-exploration. Relationships with others are essential, but before we can communicate with others, we must be able to communicate with ourselves. When your thoughts are consistently muddled or diluted, take some time to uncloud your vision by gently removing yourself from society. Search within yourself for answers, and you may be surprised by what you find. Don't worry about the sudden silence. It is merely expectant, waiting for you to speak. So definitely a solitary path, not necessarily lonely. Um, I mean, obviously, if you went down this career, well, I don't know how long I'll be in this career, but there's definitely plenty of other tarot readers. But at least in the circles that you find yourself in, you might be the only one that has this aspect. Um, so in that sense, um, you might be alone. So yeah, you would do good. It might be. So I guess I just don't know. Um, I don't know what kind of social animal you are. Like if you need people to thrive, then it might be rough. I mean, the hermit is suggesting you'll need to be able to take time to yourself to rejuvenate and replenish, but you'd be capable of doing it. You'd be helping people reconnect and make decisions. So that doesn't really give a hint at what scale you'd be doing it. So don't know with what success. But of course, that might just be more of a business matter um, than an aptitude. Um, so you would do good. Yeah, I don't know that it's a compelling case for or against it, though. So, um, okay. Um, yeah, I'm kind of wondering that too. Because, I mean, it's possible you would get a don't pursue this. Um, so, and because, yeah, I mean, in your question, you ask about learning. Um, that's different from actually practicing it. Um, so, um, is it all right if I switch that to practicing? Because learning, frankly, uh, I mean, we can ask that too. But I think I'd rather start with practicing. And you could still learn about it even if you don't end up practicing. Um, and then at that point, it's a matter of should I wait to get into this? Okay. So I'll start with practicing. Um, that might answer the learning question as well if it's like start now. Um, but otherwise, we might have a follow up on learning as well. And for practicing, what should we do? Is this also insight? Charisma? I think so. Okay. What should she do? Practice. I think it's just the one card. So let's go ahead and flip that. Ace of Chalices. I want to say that one deals with new beginnings. So that would be a yes. Let me get the guide though. New emotion, intimate connection, love. When the Ace of Chalice presents itself, some deep wellspring of emotional force is bubbling up inside you or around you. It promises the beginnings of an intimate connection, guided by the heart. Open yourself to love and compassion. Draw deep feelings to the surface and let them shine. So I think that's indicative that you should just go ahead and start practicing now. So obviously, start learning now as well. You were also asking about marriage. Do you want to read on whether or not that's going to impact that timeline? Like, I don't know if you have like a specific relationship that you're thinking of, um, or if it's more generic. Um, I mean, it won't be a hindrance, but it's also not a hindrance if it doesn't happen. If you understand. Okay. Then yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you start practicing now, all the concerns about someone accepting you, when you do start digging into it, are moot because it'll already be a part of you. So um, at that point, I'm not worried about how it impacts it. If we're just starting from a fresh slate, anyways. So any other questions we want to dig into? Right. Um, I'm just saying, and I think what you were worried about previously is that some people don't understand it, um, or have preconceptions about it. Right. Um, yeah. Okay. We're on the same page then. So you're good. Did you have any other concerns, um, or maybe even just other questions entirely? Um, Want to make sure we covered it all though. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, that's a given. I mean, we could ask about it, but yeah. Um, my concern was if the relationship came first, tarot can be off-putting for a number of people, but where you're not starting with the relationship, even though that's definitely something you're planning on, um, that's something that anybody who you would go forward with um, would already be accepting. And so, yeah, respectful. And if they marry you, presumably happily. Let me go ahead and set this one. I need to check the button, actually. Well, so I don't have a concern or a question about marriage or relationship, at least with respect to pursuing tarot. Um, I would have a question about finances because, I mean, I wouldn't want to be a starving artist. Um, so there's that question, but that might be, well, you know for yourself whether or not that's something um, you should be concerned about or ask about. It might be premature to be asking that question. So. I mean, you would do good as a tarot reader as far as helping people out. We didn't really get a financial answer on that one. Yeah. Because when I asked you about doing good, um, it was about helping people. That was the focus there. Okay. Finances. And I think we're going to continue with the Prisma deck on that. So let me go ahead and put these ones away. True. Both are relevant, but you might not necessarily get the same answer for both. So that was, yeah. Let me show them. Oop. I guess, do you want me to ask it in that way? Because we could just ask financially, but it's probably a better question to ask um, if you would be financially well off, um, while also happy with the work you were doing. Okay. Uh, I'm getting the impression to use the yes/no spread. And I think we'll be able to get some nuance out of the cards used. I'll just go ahead and, whoops, sorry about that. Show that for reference. But then I think we'll get a little more detail from which cards in particular were used. So obviously 3 cards. We're going to get some extra information from the 2 on the left. So they've got some details for us. And that one's just filler to get our yes/no. So 5 of Chalices, King of Chalices, and then the Hierophant, however that one's pronounced. So if we look at our guide, 5 of Chalices, that'd be 5 of Cups, that's a no card. King of Chalices, that one is a yes card. And then the Hierophant, that is also a yes card. So we fall on the 2 yes and a no. So positive outcome likely, but may take time to come about, which, I mean, that makes sense for starting a business. But as far as locking in on both of those aspects, sounds like, yeah, you would be able to build up something that is financially stable and supporting, as well as emotionally, spiritually fulfilling. Let's go ahead and read a bit on the 5 of Chalices and King of Chalices, because those ones had some extra information. So 5 of Chalices. Disappointment, failures, making new space. Letting go of familiar trappings can be a wrenching experience, but sometimes decisive divestment is the only way to move forward. Rather than swirling in an endless whirlpool of uncertainty, it's better to shed what you know and make room for fresher, more positive energy to enter your life. Pain is an ephemeral indicator of growth. Have the courage to dictate new chapters of your life. So, sounds like it might be difficult, shifting and, well, rearranging your life to pursue this tarot reading. And then if we go to the King of Chalices. Reigning emotions, powerful conduit, in control. The king is all about reining in the emotions. Recognizing to their true power, he carves out channels for them to flow in advantageous ways, intentional ways. Shepherd of the roiling river, he is master of its destiny, and it lends its churning strength to his designs. By harnessing your emotions, you become lord of your own experience, directing the formless energy into hale corporeal creation. So, I mean, yeah, so rough start from the 5, but it sounds like with the king, like, you're the master of that. I mean, it talks about reigning emotions. That's more directing them productively. Just to be clear, we're not trying to stop it or anything. We don't want to bottle it up. But yeah, if you direct your emotions in the proper way, then yeah, it'll be very productive. And yeah, it'll flow onto you. So, yeah, I think that answers the question. Let me know if there's anything else you want to follow up on. Okay. Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I talked to you guys about it. I'm actively looking for a job right now. And once that starts, I don't plan to just discontinue this. This will just move to a part-time. So yeah, you can definitely straddle as needed until it gets going. Hey, Brianna. Yeah, Luis has a reading first. She still needs to give me the question, but just want to make sure Lavina is good before we move on. So yeah, as far as, because basically it would be 2 part-time jobs for you. And then once it starts to take off, then yeah, you could go into it. Okay, perfect. Glad it could help. So Luis, if you're on, go ahead and drop your question in. She had to duck out for a bit. So if that went longer than expected, then we'll just go on to you, Brianna. No problem. Excellent. Always glad to help, Lavina. Thank you. I guess, do you want me to DM you directly, or I think I can do that on Facebook? Because I'm definitely going to announce it when I do that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll definitely be announcing it. So. Ooh. Good call. Thankfully, this is on recording, so I at least have that. But yeah, I'll do my best. Thanks, Lavina. Luis hasn't popped in yet, so we'll go ahead and move on to your question, Brianna. And when she gets in, thanks. She'll just go next. Yeah, I think for this one, I'm feeling like the Cosmo deck. So we'll be using that. Put the guide back. Oh, you're fine. I need a shuffle. I don't teach it. Like I don't think I have a particularly great mastery of the cards yet. I've gotten acquainted with a number of them, but I don't think I could teach them yet. And frankly, with this, part of it is just doing it. So the time and attention trying to learn it. So I'm thinking of trying some things to speed up remembering what each one does. But like the way I do it with the different decks and their different guides, like I'm definitely not memorizing all of that. And especially if and when I get new decks, that's just not going to happen. So at a certain point, I might have like the gist memorized, but I think I might always turn to guides unless it's like a simple reading, very straightforward or something like that. Because yeah, there's a certain nuance you get with the particular decks, in my experience. Um, but I guess to answer the short and simple question, no, I don't teach tarot. Don't worry, at some point these cards will settle. Thanks. So, Brianna. Huh. Interesting. Different people speak to their or communicate with their divine in different ways, with their higher power. So, well, and other people will just have different philosophies around tarot. So, it's very true. I mean, and we talked a lot about the particular question today. Like, yeah, the question does matter. And depending on your higher power, they might be understanding of what you really meant, or it'll just be very particular. So, okay. Thank you, Lavina. It was fun going through it, working it out. But for Brianna. Hey, Elijah. Thanks. Um, Sorry, had 3 cards. I think there's now a 4th, and I've got to figure out its place. Um, Okay. Brianna, your cards. There we go. Okay. So there's three places. This is what I call a tempered pair. So there's the primary card in front, and then the second card behind it has a tempering influence. So moderates it in some way. So we've got 2 of Embers, 5 of Lotuses, Death, and 10 of Trees. So interesting. 2 of Embers would normally be 2 of Wands. That deals with choices. Most twos do. There tends to be a creative energy there, though. 5 of Lotuses, that would be similar to the 5 of Chalices, 5 of Cups. So there's a certain sorrow, grief associated with that. So definitely a shock for her. This says death. It's not nearly that bad. This deck uses different names for the major arcana as well as the face cards. This is the 0 card. This would normally be the Fool. The emphasis here in this deck is a change in perspective, a new adventure, so to speak. That the idea here is that death is not the end, but is reaching to pull you beyond to something new. But we'll read into the cards as well. 10 of Trees, this would normally be 10 of Pentacles, which usually, material. There's just a lot of prosperity, security going on there. Usually material, but obviously your question is the context. So how she's going to react. So this 2 of Embers, I'm not quite sure. This, it's going to take a moment to change, to shift into that new beginning. But then it sounds like it would be secure. There's this grief, almost sorrow. Yeah, I really need to read up on the 2 of Embers. So let me get into that. Set that down. And Cosmo. There we go. So yeah, let's start with the 2 of Embers. Not that far. Planning, making decisions, leaving home. When the stone dancers show up in a reading, it indicates a readiness for movement and an opportune time to expand for new perspective. Perhaps you have been stagnant recently or have fallen into your comforts. You are not at the beginning or the end of something, but near the middle. It is crucial to make moves and make them soon. You don't know how long the momentum will last before it begins to slow. So, yeah, sort of interesting. Yeah, sounds like it's going to catch her a bit off guard. And she doesn't exactly know how to react, but that's fine. Let's go on to the 5 of Lotuses. Loss, grief, self-pity. There is no easy way to put it. This is a card of loss. The ships have no chance of surviving the tumultuous surf, and complete devastation leaves a bitter mark on the scene. This is a reminder that sometimes things are out of your control. Loss is a part of living. It is a sad fact that finds home in heartache. Grief can engulf the heart, and it opens avenues for more uncomfortable feelings to thrive. Let the grief take you, but move through it with grace, knowing that time will eventually heal and the tide will recede. So, I mean, whether or not she'll handle it with grace, that's kind of up to her. But yeah, she'll definitely be feeling a loss. So far, not like a fiery shutdown. Um, um, so yeah, it's not going to be. Yeah, it'll hurt her, but it's not going to be bad in the long run. And also not for the prospect of moving in, from what I can tell. So death, and this is again normally the full. Great beginnings, second chances, restoration. If death comes up in a reading, do not be alarmed. Take the hand that guides you as if it belonged to an old friend and grab tightly. For death in this oracle is a sign of life. It can represent a grand beginning, a second chance at living, or mastering 2 lives in 1 lifetime. Beginnings can also be restorative, and it is more often than not that we forget to realize the beauty in the infancy of things. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't see her stopping you, for example. Um, this is tempered by the 10 of trees. So normally the 10 of pentacles. Fulfillment, dreams coming true, joy. While we find ourselves back in the desert, we now have the foundation and determination to overcome adversity. That was speaking to the picture. Knowing that hardships can be made easier by working together. Through the suit of trees, we witness mankind working to coexist with nature. The Jeweled Tower is a card that speaks to fulfillment of dreams. When it shows up, it is a sign that this true joy is sitting there, ready for you to grab it. It is a greater feeling than any material possession could bring you. This is a time to rejoice and enjoy the simplicity of feeling fulfilled. So, yeah, I mean, you'll go on to that new beginning, so to speak, leaving home. But I mean, that is the proper course of things for you to move on with your relationships and your family, possibly in the future. I don't know all the details of your circumstance, but yeah. So that joy in you progressing like she progressed, that'll help temper that departure, that new chapter, basically. All right. So that was Brianna. Luis, if you've popped back in, go ahead and drop your question. No problem. And then Elijah, if you had a question, by all means, go ahead and drop that in. I know Luis had to go on break. Wasn't expecting it to be this long, but stuff happens. So, looks like our camera is released. There we go. Okay. And I'll go ahead and shuffle this. So we're not hearing anything. There's Luis, and then Elijah dropped in. we don't have questions, it seems. Guess I'll wait a little bit. But if things have died down, we might call it good at that point. And I guess Louise, is she on Facebook? Yeah. Yeah, so you can either message me. I've got a Practical Prince account there, or there's the Practical Principles page. Can't remember which one this technically streams to. I want to say it's to the Practical Prince. But you could message me there, or we can wait till the next live stream, because obviously you can do some back and forth like we did with Lavina on a live stream. That isn't as easy to do over messaging. Well, I mean, we can't. I guess there's just the element of presentation, I guess, maybe. Because I'll definitely have to sum. I'm not going to read the guidebooks out loud. I mean, it's text at that point. So, yeah, just let me know if you want, or I'll see you on the next stream. And then, yeah. And same thing for you, Elijah. There's the account. And I'm on other platforms. If for some reason Twitch doesn't do that, I can't remember the Twitch setup. But yeah, seems pretty calm. So I think we'll call it there for today. So again, streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I set up social alerts, so that should happen on Twitter and Facebook. Just as a heads up when we start streaming. I am actively looking for... Oh, okay. I was about to sign off. Go ahead and drop your question in. Getting worried about how to do it later. I was going to, but now that you've showed up, I'd rather do it in person. Well, I guess as in person as a live stream is. So go ahead and drop your question in. I'll do the sign off again later. Because, yeah, just arranging to do it later or do it over DMs is not preferred. So. Okay. Basically, oh, then let me highlight it. So basically, guidance for the next one. Yeah, this is a Cosmic kind of question. So let's use that deck. Okay. No, I'd rather do it now. I mean, we could DM or something and do that. Not the same experience, obviously. Or we could wait for another live stream, but yeah. Then you're just fighting with other people for attention. Whereas today it's been relatively slow, which hasn't been bad. We've been able to give people due attention. So. Sorry, I've got the cards. Just making sure. I understand. Okay. And that's probably going to come up small, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So 6 cards. This is a tempered pair, so the primary, and then the secondary with the tempering influence. I sort of get the impression that there's 2 streams going on here. So I don't know if this is roughly the order these things happen in. And then there's this parallel aspect going on. So we'll dig more into that, maybe figure out what those are speaking to. 7 of Lotuses. Infinite Paths. The Weaver. Tempered by 7 birds. 7 of birds. I'll spread those a bit. And then down here, we've got Karma, Justice. Sorry, that would normally be Justice. And then 6 of Trees. So, offhand, I can't remember 7 of Lotuses. Infinite Paths would normally be the sun, and that's usually associated with joy, abundance, prosperity. Well, not necessarily prosperity. Joy is the real theme of the sun. So, but this guide will have it skew. The Weaver is creating something. You need to be careful not to go too hard or too soft. But the tempering influence, the 7 of birds, this would normally be the 7 of swords. So this would normally deal with deception, betrayal. But the Cosmo deck is, well, special. So we'll go ahead and read up on all of those, but just at a high note, what I know of the cards. Set this down. And we'll just go in that order. So the top stream, left to right, and then we'll do the bottom one. So 7 of Lotuses. There we go. Searching for purpose, choices, daydreaming. You find yourself immersed in a wondrous new world. The magic that flows through the teal waters is alluring and somewhat intoxicating. This card shows up when you have been living in 2 worlds as a way of not choosing one. You may be feeling overwhelmed by decisions and instead have chosen to retreat into another daydream. It is healthy to fantasize having 2 lives, but if too much time is spent in between, you will wake up feeling not a part of either. Feel fully in it. Get caught up in the wonder of one. So that happens, and then we've got Infinite Paths. Well, I mean, you'll need to pick which world, and you'll have the idea of what that is speaking to. But then we go into Infinite Pathways, the sun. Joy, success, good changes. Infinite Pathways is an extremely positive card to pull in a reading. It speaks to the synchronicity with yourself and a willingness to change what asks to be changed. Take joy in this card. It is the pulsing magic alive in all good changes. All it asks of you is to radiate positivity, and it will bring an abundance of goodness, unlocking pathways only thought to exist in dreams. So, and that makes sense. Once you've chosen your world and you're committed to it, you'll be more in sync and, well, more in tune in a sense, and that'll make things better. So, and then we go on to the Weaver. Right here, so So this would normally be the Page of Swords. Inspiring, intentional, manifesting future. The weaver designs intricate tales that spin together into beautiful dances. When this card appears, it indicates that now is a good time to begin developing what you hope to manifest in the near future. Obviously, this is speaking to after the Infinite Paths, the Sun event. The weaver can represent a powerful mind, one that is inspiring and extraordinary. Remember to be thoughtful with what you hope to achieve. A little exaggeration makes a story sing, but be careful not to weave a tale too hard to maintain. And this is tempered by 7 of Birds. There we go. So normally 7 of Swords. Obstacle, tactics, strategy. Only the brave would dare to cross this treacherous terrain. When this card shows up, it is a placeholder for a strategy you must soon devise. Some rocky roads may be approaching, and it is ill-advised to approach haphazardly. Instead, you will need to learn from the birds in order to plan accordingly. Do so, and you will make it to the other side with much ease. A carefully thought-out maneuver will catapult you much further than approaching with haste. So yeah, that was totally different than the usual 7 of Swords. And yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Tempering the weaver. You'll start manifesting something, but you need to prepare. Yeah, I don't know what the obstacles ahead would be. You'll have to do that. But yeah, approaching haphazardly would be unwise. So we've got that stream of events, and then karma, justice, a bit of balancing going on there. Honesty, restoring balance, ultimate truth. Karma is a card that asks for brutal honesty. It is easy to convince yourself that you have not wronged, but we all have. It is a part of being human. Don't be afraid to try and mend broken relationships. The actions you take now will ripple far into the future. On the other side of it, if you feel you have been wronged, karma will eventually restore balance. In the end, it is always the ultimate truth that is rewarded in kind. Be truthful with yourself, others will be truthful with you. And just want to make sure I read that one sentence right. Don't be afraid to try and mend broken relationships. I think I might have misread that. But yeah, so there's a balancing going on with karma, either coming to you or coming from you. You'll have to determine whether it's advice or promise. So, and then 6 of Trees. So normally 6 of Pentacles. Not too far there. Abundance, giving, gratitude. The harvest provides hope and comfort with the copious crop overflowing. This card appears when you have come into an excess of good fortune. Unlike the 4 of Trees, this card represents the other side of greed, giving. Knowing the pain of the rot, you have the understanding. Let me reread that. Knowing the pain of the rot, you have the understanding needed to share your wealth with those less fortunate than you. Even if you do not have an abundance, have gratitude for what you do have. Your generosity and kindness will come back tenfold and be the roots of many happy memories to follow. Sounds like you're not expecting some good karma, but it could be. I mean, that's what I would expect, to have it followed by the 6 of Trees. But obviously you know your situation better. It could be that you need to be humbled a bit, and then you need to, as part of that, be more giving. Maybe you've been a bit greedy or something. I don't know. So you'll have to connect that to you. Okay, that's it for that. Let me go ahead and select these. Okay. We already started the sign off earlier, so let's go ahead and finish that off now. So, streaming 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I am job searching, so that may change if and when it does. Um, I'll start announcing it. Um, yeah, that's about it. Thanks, Louise. To everyone, hope you have a good day and a great weekend. And until next time, take care.